The Dogma Trap. Replacing rigid doctrine with personal revelation. Let's imagine our mind as a vast, unexplored continent, teeming with unique landscapes, hidden valleys of insight, and peaks of personal truth waiting to be discovered. Now, imagine that continent being replaced by a single, perfectly manicured garden path. You are told this path is the only safe route, the only true way to navigate reality. To step off of it is to risk eternal disorientation. This episode diagnoses the Dogma Trap, the cancerous behavior where living faith is replaced by rigid doctrine. This is the metabolic dysfunction where the institution, like a tumor, seeks to standardize and control the fundamentally uncontrollable. Your personal encounter with the sacred. It replaces the messy, beautiful, and unpredictable journey of spiritual discovery with the pre-printed map that leads only to its own doorstep. The tumor cannot survive a thinking, questioning, and personally inspired believer. What if the cure for this mental confinement is not studying the map more carefully, but fasting? What if we simply stopped following paths laid down by others and began exploring our own terrain? Just like in fasting, when we stop eating to reset our body, we will stop participating with these religious institutions. The metabolism of this cancer is intellectual and spiritual standardization. It replaces the organic process of questioning and discovery with a closed loop of pre-approved answers, creating a dependency on an external validation for internal truths. The players in this scam, which are the doctrine, the operating system of the tumor, a closed source code that cannot be questioned. Then there's the theologians and apologists, the system administrators who patch bugs and defend against viruses or new ideas. And then there's the inquisitors, the immune response that attacks any thought organized as non-self. Let's trace the life cycle of a single profound spiritual question. What happens after we die through this parasitic metabolism, according to the religious institutions? So first, there is the preemption of wonder. This is the mutation of the cancer we are given. A child experiences the death of a pet and feels a natural aching wonder about the nature of existence and what comes next. This open-ended creative questioning is the raw material of spirituality. Now here comes the institution. It intercepts this wonder and pathologizes it as doubt or a test of faith. The natural human impulse to explore the unknown is mutated into a spiritual liability. Then number 2, here comes the installation of the official answer. And this would be, if it was a cancer, which it is an angiogenesis of the tumor. The tumor now creates its own blood supply by providing a single, non-negotiable answer. The child is not encouraged to sit with the mystery, to explore various philosophical ideas, or to find comfort in the cycle of nature. They are given a detailed, proprietary schematic of the afterlife, specific locations, requirements for entry, and the timeline to get there. The transaction is clear. Surrender your curiosity and we will give you the certainty. Your personal revelation is not valid. Only your corporate revelation counts. And then number 3, we have our cycle of intellectual dependency. In the cancer, this is the metastasis stage. The child accepts the schematic. The aching wonder is numbed by the concrete answer. But now, whenever a new question arises about suffering, about other religions, about science, they no longer trust their own capacity to reason or feel their way toward an understanding. They return to the doctrine, seeking another pre-packaged answer. Their spiritual and intellectual growth is stunted. The cycle is complete. The institution owns the copyright to truth, and the believer remains a perpetual customer in the marketplace of certainty. The tumor has been fed once again. This intellectual and spiritual monopoly would fail if only we trusted our own capacity for revelation. Yet, we outsource our deepest thinking, helped by powerful psychological hooks. Once again, not because we are lazy, because we've been manipulated since birth. We are addicted to the comfort of having the unanswerable answered. The weight of existential questions is heavy. The Dogma Trap offers a relief valve, a definite answer that stops the mental churn. This addiction is a surrender of our intellectual sovereignty, a trade of the challenging freedom to think for the comforting prison of not having to. It's the spiritual equivalent of choosing a fast food meal over learning to cook. It's immediately satisfying but leaves you malnourished and dependent. This is the deep-seated terror of tumor, the fear of getting a spiritual F. What if my personal revelation contradicts the official doctrine that I've been indoctrinated with since birth? What if my intuitive truth is labeled blasphemy? The institution positions itself as the ultimate grading authority for the soul. The fear of failing its exam, of being ostracized from the community of the saved, is a powerful deterrent against independent thought. It convinces us that it is safer to be wrong with the group than to be right alone. It convinces us that it is safer to be wrong with the group than to be right alone. We have been sold a lie that a 2,000-year-old book or a centuries-old institution has more direct line to truth than our own lived experience and reasoned contemplation in the modern world. We grant ancient texts and traditions an unearned authority, mistaking their age for wisdom and their rigidity for strength. We cannot imagine that the divine might still be speaking, not through dusty pages alone, but through the ongoing revelation of a sunset, a sunrise, a scientific discovery, a piece of music, or the quiet voice of our own conscience. The treatment for this cancer is a deliberate withdrawal, a fasting from the marketplace of pre-packaged answers. We must starve this tumor of our intellectual and spiritual compliance. This is our personal declaration of intellectual independence. Institute a firm rule. I will hold all doctrines as hypotheses, not decrees. My personal experience, reason, and conscience are valid sources of revelation. This means when you read a sacred text, you engage with it critically, asking, what does this mean to me, to my experience, to my level on this path? Not, what am I supposed to believe? It means allowing yourself to sit with a question without rushing to an answer. It means valuing a genuine, unresolved, I don't know. I just simply don't know. If I don't know, I don't know. Over a borrowed, unexamined, I believe, I have faith. Here is the linguistic and mental detox. We must change the language that reinforces doctrinal dependency. We need to stop saying the church teaches and start saying one interpretation, one perspective is, and stop saying I must have faith when you mean I am suppressing my doubts. Start saying I am exploring this mystery. Stop calling a new idea heresy and call it an alternative perspective, another way to see things. This reframes our form of passive receptacle of dogma to an active participant in a living, evolving conversation with the sacred. We are not believers, we are seekers. The community-based nourishment, or the Socratic Circle, The intellectual and spiritual energy that we withdraw from these rigid doctrines must be invested in a new dynamic form of community. We can start by joining a philosophy or book club, read from a wide variety of spiritual, philosophical, and scientific texts. The goal is not to find the right one, but to explore the landscape of human thought together. We can practice I wonder conversations, gather with others with the explicit rule that no one has the correct answer. The conversation starts with I wonder about and thrives on shared curiosity, not debate or conversion. Create spaces for shared silence. Meditate or walk in nature with others in silence without a prescribed prayer or doctrine. You access a direct, non-verbal form of knowing and connection that dogma cannot contain. As more of us withdraw our mental consent from rigid doctrine, the dogmatic tumor will begin to starve and heal itself. Its authority, derived from our belief in its infallibility, will crumble. It will thrash and writhe. We will see intensified condemnations of relativism and desperate attempts to tighten doctrinal purity. Recognize this for what it is. It's the immune system of a dying paradigm attacking the healing. We are not abandoning truth. We are abandoning the claim that any human institution has a monopoly on truth. As we walk away, we leave behind a museum of frozen answers and step into the living university of personal and collective inquiry. The Dogma Trap is a cancer, a tumor on the mind of humanity, replacing the living process of discovery with the dead artifact of doctrine. Our prescribed dry fast, the withdrawal of our intellectual consent, and our need for certainty is the metabolic reset. It attacks the disease at the level of thought itself. There will be a healing crisis. The tumor will not release its grip easily. It will scream that we are adrift, that we are creating our own truth, that we are falling into chaos. But this crisis is a sign the treatment is working. On the other side of this withdrawal is not chaos, but a more authentic and vibrant order. Imagine a world where our spirituality is a dynamic, personal dialogue with the universe, not a monologue from a pulpit. A world where differences in belief are seen as different paths up the same mountain, not reason for holy roar. A world where the goal is not orthodoxy, but authenticity. This is the natural harmony that awaits. Rigid doctrine, starved of our belief in its supremacy, will naturally phase out, and the timeless human practice of personal revelation will re-emerge. Just as the body, once it stops ingesting the poison of rigidity, can remember its own natural state of flexibility, adaptability, and health.